Unfortunately, it looks like more layoffs are here. This time it's Yahoo. They're announcing that they're laying off 20% of their staff. That's about 1,000 employees. And the basic gist of it is it looks like the ad business is slowing. And this also doesn't bode well for other companies in the ad business, be it your Google, be it your Facebook, Twitter, these kind of things. And this is essentially with rising interest rates, these kind of things, unfortunately, were expected. You're looking at more announcements from Microsoft. So they already announced they're going to lay off employees, but now we're starting getting more details about which areas. It looks like a lot of these sort of consumer discretionary kind of things. So like your Xbox, and they were saying HoloLens, Surface, this kind of stuff. So I would think that maybe the video game industry might struggle as well, as this is sort of an indication of that. There's even more. GitHub, they're going to be firing 10% of their workers, and it's just really, really rough out there. And so this is something that I know a lot of channels don't talk about enough. I'm just telling you, because if we're going to be talking about money, finance, these kind of things, I think it's a holistic approach, not just, what's going on in the market, but, what are you doing in your career? What are you doing about saving money? How are you allocating funds? What are you doing with paying off debt? These kind of things. I think this stuff is all related. And the most important thing I would say in this environment is just make sure you're secure in your career, get the skills that you need, reach out to your network, and just, try to secure your future. You look at this, for example, Disney is laying off 7,000 workers, and unfortunately, Wall Street is a cold place. That's just what it is. And essentially, Wall Street, they want companies to turn profits. They want profits now. And if that means, cut employees to cut costs, and that essentially leaves the rest of the workers to have to work, longer hours or work more, so be it. Wall Street needs their money. And this is something that is interesting as well. We talked about Peltz. Remember, he was basically saying, hey, I'm going to do a proxy fight, try to take over the company, etc. He has hence called that off. I guess with the step down of Bob Chapek, and now Iger's in there, maybe he's happy with the changes. So he's like, okay, forget it. I'm not going to try to take over Disney anymore. However, there is a unhappy camper over at Tesla. This is a really interesting one. So Elon Musk, true story, you got to read the headline. Elon Musk reportedly fired a Twitter engineer on the spot after worker told him his popularity was sinking on the site. And this is a quote, and I guess multiple people have confirmed the quote. This is Elon Musk talking. Elon is talking to the employees. This is ridiculous. I have more than 100 million followers, and I'm only getting tens of thousands of impressions. So, and then what they did was the employees, I guess they showed him essentially the data from Google Trends and saying, hey, Elon, you're just not as popular as you once were. And Elon was really, really unhappy, publicly claiming you're a bunch of liars, fake news, this kind of stuff, and evidently just fired an engineer on the spot. So it is what it is for me in my world. And on this channel, I try my best just to show you facts, charts, and data, and just accept it. But some people, they don't want to accept the facts, and it is what it is. And I understand. If you're an Elon Musk or fanboy or fangirl, you probably think all this data is a bunch of hooey. Elon Musk has 100 million followers. He should be getting way more impressions. And yes, I get it. If you're someone like Elon Musk, you really, really care about your Twitter. That is really important. So it is what it is. And this is an interesting thing because evidently the sort of Wall Street playbook is to fire people. So maybe Elon is just looking for excuses to fire people because they need to cut costs. And anyone who sort of, says the wrong thing, he's got, aha, I got an excuse, you're fired. But the basic gist of it is that perhaps companies may be firing more people and then starting to offer dividends to sort of make their stock more attractive. And I'm all about dividend stocks. If you guys are following the channel, you know this, and this might end up being a thing. Disney was one of the companies that was saying like, hey, we're going to be, cutting employees and maybe bring back the dividends. So we'll see on that. There was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal today. You can read the headlines: mass hires, layoffs, or hiring boom. What's actually happening in the job market? And it's very interesting because you look at the cover picture, they basically show like a waiter person. And I've been telling you guys this for a long time, is that, Goldman is firing, we see GitHub is firing, Yahoo is firing, etc. But we know Chipotle is hiring, we know Walmart is paying more, this kind of stuff. And so, yes, unemployment is low. It totally is. Unemployment is like the lowest in, a bunch of years. I think it's like since like the 69 or something like that. And the thing is, though, is that even if you have a job, it may not be the job that you exactly want. And I'm not necessarily saying, that people don't work hard at Walmart or Chipotle, but if you want a job to secure your future, it takes a lot of money these days because unfortunately, everything's just so expensive. I'm sure you guys know this. And so I just wanted to emphasize that I'm not the only person out there who has been saying, these kind of things. It's just funny to see finally seen an article about this issue of like, tech is firing, yet restaurants are hiring. Speaking of hiring though, it seems that Coinbase is under a little bit of trouble with the SEC. The basic gist of it is the SEC is starting to look at these sort of crypto platforms and how they do staking, right? And if you don't know what staking is, and for those of you crypto people, you can probably explain even better than me, but the basic gist of it is like you lock up your crypto and they will pay you a high rate. And the question the SEC is like, so how do you do this high rate? Are you running a Ponzi scheme? That's basically what it is. And this is sort of what got FTX in trouble and stuff like that. And so then Coinbase fell 14%, which is quite a bit in a day. I have always had the same opinion on this stuff. I just don't know why you'd want to take the risk. That's all I have to say. I just don't know why you want to take the risk. I understand some people maybe, believe Cathie Wood and think Bitcoin's going to go $1 million each. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. It's certainly a thing. It certainly could. But for me, it's just too much risk. And I always preach on this channel, just manage your risk. So if you do want to do this stuff, just don't YOLO. But I don't recommend YOLOing on anything. And it just looks really, really scary out there for crypto stuff, in my opinion. Deutsche Bank is on our side, I guess you should say. Essentially, I've been saying so much on the channel that when the Fed says they're going to raise rates and keep them there and not cut till, maybe next year, not even cut at all, right? Deutsche Bank is in agreement that they're saying here, Deutsche Bank defies Treasury bulls by calling yields at 4.2, and the Fed likely to refrain from cutting rates this year. This is an interesting thing because the market's been rallying, even though the Fed keeps saying we're going to be raising rates maybe a couple more times. That's what's been on the bet for now. And then remember, it was just yesterday we were talking about how 4 people from the Fed went out in public and basically said, hey guys, we're really serious. We're going to be raising rates. And yet, the market's been rallying. And then it's like a couple of days later, they decide, oh, wait, maybe we should believe the Fed. And the market's been falling. And, obviously we have the crazy news with Google and such. But, one of the things that is quite interesting is Tesla is rallying. And sort of one of the things that I want to show you guys all the news have a more holistic approach is because like when a company, say, for example, Microsoft is thinking, hey, people are going to buy so many, HoloLens or going to buy so many Xboxes, right? They're concerned about consumer spending. So the question I would pose to you is like, if we're concerned about consumer spending, do you think people are going to go out and buy expensive Teslas? Now, to be fair, because I'm just talking about Tesla because it represents the whole economy, there is a possibility. There certainly is a possibility we live in a world where, the people who can afford the Tesla, say that the upper middle people, they're going to be fine. But yeah, maybe all the lower people, we're not going to be fine, right? So we'll see. We may have essentially a divide of the economy where, some are doing good and some are not. But overall, I know interest rates are up, and I think that will affect consumer spending. That's just how it should be, but you never know in this world. I could be wrong. Totally fine. One of the things that is interesting as well is the Chinese spy balloon thing. There's a couple of things that came out. So one was the Navy's recovering right now in the ocean. They're saying there are some parts of this thing that were built from the West. And then the other big one is that they're saying this thing had a whole bunch of cameras. It was maneuverable. And this was part of a much larger program where China was spying on multiple countries. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see sort of where this goes. But I don't think this bodes well for U.S.-China relations, in my opinion. Speaking of relations, Uber seems to be totally winning the fight against Lyft in the rideshare business. So if you guys have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear them. We lived in California, North Carolina, recently when we were in the USA. And Uber and Lyft were kind of the same. You just, turn on the app, see which one's cheaper, and you can order that one. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Or you turn on the apps and see which one is closer. Because sometimes there's no cars in the area, that kind of thing. So for me, using them are basically the same. But I understand that, not every market is the same. And so some markets, maybe Lyft is just, awful and no one uses it. But evidently, Uber is really pulling ahead. Lyft came out with their earnings today, and they just weren't that great. And I think the stock went down like 30%, some crazy number. Pepsi, on the other hand, had a really good earnings report, or I guess you could say as expected, because these kind of stocks aren't going to go up 30% in a day or anything like that. But I understand that, in the world that we live in of dogs with coins, or coins with dogs on them, I should say, and EV car companies that go up 80% in a month, companies like Pepsi are really boring. I totally get it. But I just want to emphasize to you guys that if you are going to do these kind of things with anything, right? And I mentioned some index funds before, and I mentioned some bonds, that I'm talking about dividend stocks and stuff like that. It's just diversify, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and don't think that you only have to do one type of thing, right? You can have different types of things in your portfolio, and that's totally fine. If you want to YOLO Tesla, maybe you can get lucky sometimes, but I'd rather be sort of like managing my risk than just hoping that one particular thing goes right for me because, someone like an Elon, he can just fire you on the spot whenever he likes. I don't want to, live that kind of world. Now, I want to show you guys a couple charts here just to sort of get your mind of what we're talking about here. So this is the 5-year chart. We're just talking about 5-year chart. And you can see Pepsi's been up, 55% in the last 5 years, which is totally fine. And the key thing I want you to think about here with these sort of things is that past performance does not guarantee future performance. That's really important to understand, right? So whatever happens in the past, it's not guaranteed in the future. There's nothing's guaranteed here. I'll say, however, I don't think people are going to stop drinking Pepsi. They just don't think so. And if you know, say, for example, Warren Buffett, he piles a whole bunch of money into something like Coca-Cola. It's been in one of his stocks for years. So I'm just giving you an example of the kind of thing that I understand that it's really, really boring, but this is something that's really important. In a changing environment with rising interest rates, right, not everything is super successful. So this is sort of where some people may get more defensive. And I understand too. I'm just showing you guys both charts, right? If you take a look at the 5-year chart, something like Tesla, you're like, well, Chris, Tesla's gone up 800% the last 5 years, so therefore it's awesome, and it's going to go up yet another 800% the next 5 years. I would refute that claim and say probably not. And the big reason and the basic thing I want you to just think about here is that, remember, interest rates are going up and they're going to stay elevated. And what do you think that's going to do to people buying cars opposed to, say, people buying Pepsi? Just for example, I just want you guys to think about that because, remember, past performance does not necessarily equal future results. This is something that you always need to manage risk. I just want you to you can't predict between 100%. So that's why you sort of do different things. That's why I'm showing you different charts to get your mind thinking about different things. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. This is all I'm trying to say. Also, too, speaking of putting all your eggs in one basket, in Korea, it's been really interesting. If you guys know, the K-pop is really, really big. And in fact, BTS is, one of the biggest bands. And then their management group, they're trying to buy one of the bigger management groups as well. So you're going to see this kind of stuff happen when the economy goes this way to where, some companies say it might have been losing money, this sort of thing, where someone who's gaining money will try to eat up their market share. And you'll see this kind of thing. So we'll see if BTS as essentially management expands, because if you may or may not know, BTS is going to military service, so they're not going to be performing as much as they were in the past. I think they'll probably be gone for a year or so. We'll see how long before they come back. And then I wanted to mention this also. I know we talk about business and things on this channel and finance and stuff, but I just always wanted to remember that there are other people in the world, and there's more to the world than just money and ourselves. Essentially, there are other people, and unfortunately, the situation in Turkey is just really, really bad. The death toll, I'm just reading it now, it's up to 21,000 in Turkey and Syria, and just hope for the best for the people there, and that's all I have to say. So I always appreciate your time, everyone. Love to hear your thoughts on any of these stories, and this has been your Daily News.